Hi. Anybody home?
Dandavats Maharaj.
Vanchakapu Turubhishaka, Sindhudev Chapa, Titanam Pavanebia Vishakinamur Maha, or Starbucks, Padishas, Starbucks. Okay. Today I'm driving in the car like in downtown Los Angeles, like a professional homeless from Los Angeles. Stayed today with Adityananda and Wisdom because morning time we have some inspection. And I'm using my time to show you some LA. There's downtown LA. Today, many homeless people live in this area, and they live in tents like sadhus. And what's the difference between homeless people and sadhus? Actually, homeless people most likely, by their disconnection from material society, joining streets, taking drugs, go crazy from one point of view, but from another point of view, they're not taking care of their bills. They're not messed up with their mundane duties. They're just pretty much having a good time sometimes. And one of their problems, they have nothing to do. So when sometimes sadhus in India look like homeless people, and sometimes people think, oh, who is those sadhus? Why they're having such time? But sadhus not like homeless. They have a very clear purpose of rejecting the world. It's the internal work, internal bhaja. So although they appear to be externally inactive, that they do a lot of internal work. And otherwise, in the material world, some people look very externally active, but internally they're not doing progress at all. They're not resolving their internal problems. They're going on external level. Of course, whether resolving internal or external problems, you need qualities: patience, tolerance, good luck, fortune, etc. So you cannot just be successful in this world because you work hard. A lot of people work hard, they have no success. They just barely survive because they're in the wrong time, doing the wrong job, the wrong circumstance. And most people who achieve something in this life, they had fortune. Fortune means bhagya, bhagyavanji, fortune. So whether it's material fortune or educational fortune, meeting somebody important, meeting somebody great, being connected with something amazing. So in spiritual world, it's the same thing. You need to have a fortune, bhagyavan jiv. So how this fortune comes together, it's come from devotee. So if you really look at the history of Srimad Bhagavad, which is through time and space, descriptions of life of different great devotees and great Mahajans, you'll see that they all have one common thing. At one point of their life, they would meet some, a great devotee, a Vaishnava, a great guru, great sage like Narada or any other rishi. And through some way, whether it be positive way or negative way, sometimes the circumstance would be negative, sometimes circumstance would be positive, they would connect with Krishna consciousness. When I say negative circumstance, I mean Maharaj Parikshit been sentenced to die, and he knew he has 7 days to live. In a positive circumstance, Valmiki, passing by, trying to rob people and, trying to rob his own guru, who was Narada Muni. So one way or another way, whether you can consider this circumstance from external point of view, positive or negative, we know meeting and connections with Guru and Vaishnava, this is the base of, and mercy from Guru and Vaishnava, this is the base of one spiritual upliftment. Now, most likely when this connection would happen, to maintain this connection, it would require a lot of endeavor from us. So it's not just, oh, we meet some great sage and pass by. No, we need to connect and have deeper connection. And our deeper connection has to be heart-to-heart connection towards devotional service. So an example is very simple. Srila Prabhupada met Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur maybe several times in his life. He would live with his guru. He was a family man. He would just meet his devotional teacher. He would take initiation. And, maybe several times in his life, they had personal exchange. And, their personal exchange could be very limited due to circumstance, situation. Can you guys hear me? If you guys not hear me well, let me know, because there's something with internet down here. Hello? Okay, sounds good, thank you. So that exchange could be very limited. Like in case of Srila Prabhupada, we don't know exactly, but he met several times with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. I don't know, maybe 10, 15, 20, 1 hour, 2 hour, all day parikrama. But it was not enough to definitely receive all the spiritual knowledge from all the books that he wrote. So where that spiritual knowledge came, then thinking about his guru, thinking about the mercy of his guru, believing his guru, study every day scripture, and follow his family life and his material duties, Srila Prabhupada would gradually, step by step, moving towards perfection. It was not easy. He did have many, Sanskrit scholar around him. He didn't have a lot of free time because he had to maintain his family, do his work, his duty. But by age of 60, he renounced his life, accept sannyas, and still continue 10 years working every day on scriptures, the books, and Vaishnava philosophy, trying to translate in English. He was educated person, but his English, he was not, educated specifically English at that time. In British India, people in general would have to learn English, but he was not like English writer, or he didn't have degree in English literature. He was like well-educated man, mainly in pharmaceutical science and industry. But he tried all his life to dedicate to his guru, and he tried to learn Krishna consciousness by books. And in fact, that came to him through his divine service, because when you are consciously doing something with intention of serving your guru and Vaishnava, and desire to preach and help others, that's where your qualities will come. So don't think just reading books on the couch will make you Krishna conscious, or don't think if you're just intellectual, you become a great saint. No, everything has to be great purpose behind. So Srila Prabhupada once was asked, one of his professor, English professor, so cool with me. And that professor, he said to Srila Prabhupada, I'm correcting your English all day long, and I see all your mistakes. And you telling in your books that Guru is perfect. So how can I understand you are perfect, although I know that you have so many imperfections, especially in language? Then Srila Prabhupada very clearly explained to that person. He said, my motivations are perfect. My desires are perfect. Therefore, I'm perfect as your guru. Don't think perfection from point of, oh, if guru has an eyeglasses, he's half blind, or he's old age, or he doesn't understand local culture, or he doesn't, know modern news. He is ignorant, imperfect. No, it's not how you judge spiritual master. So in Srila Prabhupada's case, we can see very clearly his own life began from meeting a great Vaishnava. Of course, he had some scar, some connection. He born in India. His family was religious, but still, that's not enough. You know, there's so many people live in India and they're religious. Like today, our devotees went to Haridwar and they asked me, what should we do in Haridwar? And I told them, when you go to Haridwar, you should chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra congregationally all together. And when they start doing kirtan, thousands of people start chanting kirtan because they go there to Ganga, to worship Ganga. So Ganga Puja. So that is a very auspicious occasion. But the beginning of all success is connection with devotee and holy name. So because there's millions of people in Haridwar, what do you do in Haridwar? You just chant Hare Krishna loudly. And devotees were so amazed how many people support their chanting, because that's what really is the fortune. That's how fortune spreads. So you go to Haridwar to purify yourself, to worship the Ganga. But what is the purpose of purifying yourself? What is the purpose of worship the Ganga? Is to receive devotion. So how do you receive devotion? You receive devotion by connecting with devotees. How you connect devotees? You chant congregationally, holy name, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. It's a very simple recipe, not a big deal recipe, actually. So, you know, Acharya Maharaj, when he was alive, he was thinking buying some land and building temple in Haridwar. And I thought like, oh, we have Vrindavan, why do we need Haridwar? But, you know, today I understand why Maharaj wanted to do it, because he knew that Vrindavan, yeah, it's a wonderful place, but Haridwar, so many people coming there to preach. There is amazing, to give people sukritya, because they're coming there with a pure mind, said, okay, we want to come to take snan and Ganga, we want to purify ourselves. And this is perfect place for chanting, for Harinam. And, you know, if we are lucky in the future, we should be doing some project in Haridwar and chant there every day. And, you know, that will make a lot of auspiciousness in our life. When you go to holy place with some service and you chant holy name and you are, you know, and you're amazed by the reaction of people, because, you know, India is an amazing country. It has one of the deepest connections with spirituality ever. So if you ever look at India, sometimes on Kumbh Mela, I would see a 5-year-old child preaching Srimad Bhagavatam, reading Srimad Bhagavatam, 5-year-old child, 10-year-old child giving lecture about religion. So you would never normally see this in material society of West. Somebody who's so young can, you know, preach Krishna consciousness or speak on religion, on philosophy. But in India, it's a very, not common, but you can see that. You can really, when you go to Kumbh Mela, you will see millions of people have millions of spiritual concepts, spiritual camps, spiritual programs. And, you know, every of that group can be different, you know, impersonalist, personalist, devotees of Hanuman, devotees of Ram, devotees of Krishna, Shiva, Dattatreya. And still, you know, they're peacefully coexist, relatively peacefully, if you can say. And their acceptance, appreciation, and, you know, and general understanding that God has so many divine forms and expansions. Of course, based on that general perception, there are many misconceptions, because it's not required just to understand God is one. You also have to understand different, you know, extensions of God and different identities and different avatars and different forms. But that is something for, you know, great Vaishnavas to discover for humans. Remember, in our Sampradaya, you know, most of our teachers, they were not just, you know, I would say, explain philosophy for foreign Western people who know nothing about nothing. In our tradition, most of our teachers, they would, they would promote philosophy for people that would be experts, so-called experts in Vedic knowledge and scriptures. And they would explain to them why, Krishna consciousness, Goloka Vrindavan is the center of everything. Because according, certain other point of view, the Lakshmi and Narayana are important position in Vaikuntha spiritual world, because there's Aishwarya above, there's a wealth and opulence of Vaikuntha. Where some, would say, well, the origin of material universe is Shiva and Shakti. And, through mystic yoga, you can achieve their position and become liberated. So there would be different ideas. What is Paramartha? What is the highest goal of spiritual life? But one way or another way, every one of them would claim their own exclusive rights for the truth. But when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to this world with 6 Goswamis and his great followers, he's very clearly established what is the true goal of human life. It is divine love of Krishna, and why Krishna consciousness has highest positions amongst all the spiritual religion concepts that have been described in Vedas. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur wanted to build a temple, which later everybody called Vedic Planetarium, but not many people understood what is the purpose of that temple. And the purpose of this temple is very simple, to show that Goloka is in the center of everything, and to show spiritual gradation in different planes of consciousness. And very clearly, Srila Sanatana Goswami explained this in his Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had very, very clear purpose to explain in this spiritual theistic exhibition, why do we worship Krishna in the center, and what is Goloka Vrindavan? And this is very important for us to understand. Why is it very important for us to understand? Because according to Krishna himself and the great Vaishnavas, the highest expression of love and highest expression of your individual spiritual identity can be realized in relationship with Krishna. So why is that so important? Because when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, he saw that as being Krishna himself by eyes of devotees, the living beings are completely lost in this world. And they will never ever, with their own endeavors, will be able to conquer Maya. Mama Maya Durat Maya. Maya is unconquerable. So somebody can say, well, what about great yogis? What about great rishis? What about great devotees? Yes, by grace of God, you can do it. But not on your own, you cannot conquer Maya. Maya is unconquerable. So, and in fact, not only she's unconquerable, she is providing to conditioned soul what we want, and we want enjoyment. So I've read one work of one Christian saint, very interesting there. And he say, why is that when you're doing some material book or material enjoyment, material movie, material entertainment, you feel good? And why is that when you do spiritual, book, spiritual thing, you get sleepy, you get tired, you get no energy? And he said very simple. He said, because Maya, when you do material things, she's not touching you because you're already in Maya. So she does not create you any harm. So when you do something mundane, you feel like, oh, nice, I'm watching some news. My mind, there's a particular pleasant environment to be in illusion. That's why, we can say sweet illusion. Whether it's, love, conversation with your wife and girl or boy, or you're talking about things with your friends, you kind of feel very nice. So when people get together and they talk about nothing, they talk about nothing, but it's very pleasant to talk about movies or talk about art, books, or nature, or, it sounds very pleasant. People feel very good. They feel relief because at that very point, Maya does not disturb them so much. But when you get with somebody who's materially inclined and say, hey, let's talk about Krishna or let's talk about spiritual things, somebody say, no, I don't have energy. I don't have faith. I don't have, it's too much, or maybe go to temple too far away, or I'm not really interested to talk about religion. I believe God inside me. People just don't have the taste for it. So it's really, really amazing how illusion works. And Maya, she very favorable towards you when you are in Maya. But when you're in Krishna, she starts disturbing you. Oh, you have no energy, you have no desire, not this, not that. So what do? You associate with devotees. And whereas Krishna, there is no Maya. So that therefore, if you really want to, go against current of Maya, you have to find other energy. And that energy is devotional energy. So then what you do in association of devotees, naturally in association of devotees, you have to cook, clean, prasadam, chant, worship, hear, class. And then you feel at certain time, oh, this is very sweet. It's very wonderful. I feel my internal fulfillment. But you have to have a taste. So that's how it works. So you have to be very careful to understand that, what Maya does is she will kill your time. Time is very valuable in this world. But Maya will seduce you and it will provide you illusory pleasure, but you will pay with your own real time because only time is something very important for us. So that's my short representation today. And if anybody have any questions, I'll be happy to discuss that. Because today we also have some Zoom, Vijay Raman's birthday, and I just spoke with devotees from Haridwar. So anybody has any questions or comments?
Avadhut Maharaj, yes, we have question from devotees, and the question is how to accept or transform our self-imperfections so these imperfect qualities could not stop us on our path of devotional service, and that we could do our seva in good quality.
Yeah, well, that's at some point I already answered this question, but I can answer this question again and again and again for myself. None of us perfect. See, like I've said, Srila Prabhupada, who did English translations of the books, was not perfect in English. And also maybe he was not the best philosopher of Gaudiya Math. Some people, very difficult to admit, but Srila Prabhupada was not graduate as philosopher. That was not his specialty. Like he was not Siddhanta expert. But what happened is through his desire to fulfill Krishna Guru Prashadi Bhai Bhakti Ladabish, for his devotional self-surrender and his devotional desire to fulfill will of his Guru means to preach Krishna consciousness to save conditioned souls of this world who's suffering in the world of life and death. Srila Prabhupada did perfect service that many qualified philosophers, pandits, and lower quality devotees with less sacrifice, self-sacrifice could do. So, which very clearly is showing us that it's really not about how qualified you are, is that what is your desire to serve your guru devotees and what is your heart purity. So that is the condition. So when we have pure desire to worship Krishna and devotees and to do some service, our imperfections will not disturb us so much. But we need to have that enthusiasm, just like, Nadia, you're in Italy. I don't know if you stay in Italy. There's Avadhut Maharaj and other devotees. They're very enthusiastic for Krishna consciousness. So when you meet with these devotees, then enthusiasm comes to you. So it's just sharing enthusiasm. So when you go to devotees that have no enthusiasm of service, then the mood is lost. Then you're not so inspired to serve because other devotees not. So there's always necessarily to find somebody with enthusiasm or working with enthusiasm. All the Rupa Goswami say his nectar of instructions, the core of spiritual activities has to be an enthusiasm and positive. Just like, maybe your medicine is not so sweet at the moment. Maybe you have bitter medicine. But when you know, okay, I'm curing cancer, I'm curing my death disease. Every day I'm taking that medicine that cure me from my death disease, then you should have enthusiasm. Although if that maybe medicine is not so sweet, or maybe not so tasty, or maybe some medical procedures are not so, pleasant, but still, when that something will cure me, that something will make me potentially a healthy, great person, I have to take that medicine with enthusiasm. And if somebody will tell you, well, you're dying from cancer or from some hardcore disease and this life medicine, but you say, well, I'm not really feel today take that medicine. I don't have a vibe for that. I don't have a mood. I believe anytime you have to go to take medicine, it has to be a very nice environment. And I have to really want to have that. Then you're not really realizing that without that medicine, you're dead. See, that is the problem with people. They think spirituality is something I should do when I'm in a very relaxed mood and you have candles and nice incense and I have to create the vibe. And if I don't have that vibe, I rather not do it. I rather not chant, because I don't have a love for that. But when I feel love, I chant. So these people don't understand. It's like you're eating daily food, or you take daily medicine. And why you take a daily medicine, or why you take daily food? Because that's the core of your existence. So it's very hard sometimes on your own to practice spiritual life because we have many anarthas, many sinful activities, many misconceptions. Therefore, as I've said again and again and again, see, I'm not trying to give you some, imaginary stories, but if you really look at the scriptures of Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's all come from devotees. So the secret is Krishna Bhakti. What's that sloka? Krishna Bhakti, Janmahoy Mul Sadhu Sangha. The core of Krishna Bhakti, devotion of Krishna, is Sadhu Sangha, association of Vaishnavas. That's what it is. So that's what make you believe. That's what motivates you. Is that for us? No. And that's what you should be hoping for and praying to Lord. Hey, Lord, send me some service in association of devotees. Any other question?
Thank you, Maharaj. I felt like this answer. Thank you that you second time repeated, because I felt like this answer was very important for me, actually. And yes, we have one more question in chat box. The question is, what is more important, japa meditation or hari-katha?
Well, that's a good question. See, Krishna has different stages, Nama, Rupa, Guna, Lila. So, so when we are, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so all right. So what is japa? I mean, to be quite frankly, japa means silent repetition of mantra. Remember, japa is silent repetition of mantra. So therefore, japa mainly means for Gayatri mantra. And Harinam you can also repeat silently with your beads, but in Bhaktivinoda Thakur description, kirtan is better. So even if you chant with your beads and you chant loudly like Hare Krishna, you can hear it. It's not japa. Japa is when you are mental chanting. With the beads, same thing. So Harinam is supreme because you can hear it. Shravanam Kirtanam, you can hear it on chant. So that's, according to Bhaktivinoda Thakur, is better. But that's one way as methodology. From another point of view, what we need to really understand, what is better, chanting a holy name or hari-katha, it's actually non-different. Because Krishna has Nama, Rupa, Guna, Lila. So when we discuss devotional pastimes of Krishna and devotees, and especially hearing them with faith from a pure Vaishnava or, a devotee, a believer who has faith, that's also very, very powerful. So now your question would be, what is more important for me? To hear hari-katha from devotees, and some ISKCON devotees, sometimes what they like to do is they like to come to lecture with japa and chant. They hear lectures and they chant. And that's not very good, because when you're hearing from devotees, you should pay attention to devotees. When you're chanting, you should pay attention to chanting. But some people have, automatic, they feel the beats, they see it, they feel the beats. It's kind of like subconscious chanting, which is okay, but what really important, what is giving you the most concentration. So if chanting have most concentration when you're alone, it's very good. And especially when you can hear yourself, or you can do japa, means silent, but means internal hearing. But when you are hearing hari-katha from devotees, it's also very, very good, because if you hear with faith, there's Krishna pastimes or Mahaprabhu pastimes or devotees pastime, they're affecting your consciousness. They produce behavior, I would say, algorithms for you. Like when you hear about some devotees giving up sinful activities or they're doing for service, these are producing a behavior model in your mind. You also want to give up sinful activities. You also want to do certain things. So, and sometimes it's better than chant, because your chanting may not be of the higher quality. But sometimes praying is important. So it really depends, on circumstance and quality. And you cannot say one is better than another. One thing we can say, Harinam, Golokera Premadhama, Harinam Sankirtanam. Chanting of holy names, supreme. But we cannot, like for instance, Rupa Goswami, sometimes he would write about Krishna. Raghunath Das Goswami would write about Krishna. And we can say, well, it's the same as chanting, because he's Krishna consciously remember about Krishna pastimes. In fact, it's more higher than neophyte chanting. So remember, we have different stages of chanting. We have very Nama Parat, Nama Bas, Shuddhanam. So if somebody wants to read Harinam Chintamani book, then he can understand there are different stages of chanting. So, like sometimes I try to chant and I see it doesn't work. Why? Because my mind disturbed. Then, you know, because I'm overwhelmed with some material things or thoughts, then what should I do? How do I get to that? Then sometimes you hear devotees, sometimes you look at the deities, sometimes you're like, you know, like, it's just, remember, it's bhakti yoga. You have to set up your mind properly. So it's not like always you can go into deep level. No. But good thing in chanting, if you chant attentively and if you chant with proper purpose and long enough, that can get you on deeper level, but not immediately. You know, sometimes you just like chant and you feel, no, it's not the same chanting as I want. But sometimes, you know, through a certain time of chanting, you can enter a certain level. But when you see high-level devotees and when you hear from high-level devotees, it's more effective, actually, if you open your ears. So sometimes, like, proper chanting, proper mood, everything proper can happen in association devotees. So, like, you're lucky in Italy, you have, like, Avadhut Maharaj staying. And he has very, you know, high-level Vaishnava, you know, devotee. And around him and around those devotees, it's easy to get to mood of service. Remember also, like, sometimes you say very simple things and you may say, well, I heard all these simple things many, many times, but that's not what you're trying to catch. You're trying to catch the mood of devotees. So sometimes I would come and give lecture, and one Chinese devotee, this lady would sit in my lecture, Russian lecture. She listened for 2 hours, my Russian lecture. And I said to her, you don't speak Russian, why you listen to my lecture? And she would smile and said, I'm catching energy. So I see this like Chinese mindset. Okay, I may not understand, but the energy must be there. So that also, I mean, it's not an extreme, but you also remember, when you're around devotees, it's not just what they say, it's the energy. Like sometimes Gurudev say simple things, or Avadhut Maharaj, or other Vaishnava can say very simple things, you know, or read the book that you already read. And if you say, oh, I already know that book, oh, I've already heard this 100 times. That's not what Krishna consciousness. It's not about refreshing your or stimulate your brain with some new mind-blowing ideas. You know, it's not what it is. It's just what you can hear from Vaishnava with his mood and his consciousness. Remember, consciousness, like water, it can mix. So like we can pollute somebody's consciousness, we can also purify somebody's consciousness. That's why sound media is the conscious exchange. So how do we exchange consciousness through sound? So sometimes when you hear holy names, or you hear some divine, you know, pastimes, or you hear some spiritual things, it's not about quality of idea. Let's say Gurudev will start telling the story and you already heard the story 100 times. So you don't tell Gurudev, well, you know, I've heard that story 100 times. Why are you telling this again? Tell me something I haven't heard about Krishna. It doesn't work this way. Any other questions? See, in this conversation, I'm trying to speak something very, very simple. I don't try to speak some, you know, very complicated philosophy. First of all, I'm not a philosopher myself. I don't know very complicated philosophy, but what I'm trying to share with you is something which is practically can be applied in our life. Because remember, we're all neophytes, we're all beginners. We're all just joining this eternal path. This path is eternal. So if you're 5-year, 10-year, you know, even if you're 100 life, you're still neophyte. Remember, when Gaur Lila happened, high beings like Brihaspati, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was incarnation of Brihaspati, guru of demigods. But according to Goswamis, he was merely joined Krishna consciousness. So guru of demigods could become Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, according to liberated souls that came with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to spread Sankirtan movement, consider him a neophyte, a newcomer. Think of this. Let's say you're a professor of cosmos and you're like big PhD and big expert, but you got to get a job in NASA, you know, a space agency. And they will tell you, well, it's our newcomer, Professor blah, blah, blah. He's very famous in Europe, but he's in NASA. He's a very newcomer. Means, yeah, he might be super qualified in his other world, but in this industry or this organization, he's very new. Then he's very humbly say, I just joined this organization. I don't know anything about everything you guys do, but I highly appreciate, you know, your work, etc. All right, and next questions.
Maharaj, actually, all Russian-speaking guests and devotees, they will join next program about Vijay Raman Prabhu, but those who English-speaking are here now, I think they and we all once again want to hear about the relationship of Srila Gurudev and Vijay Raman. If you can say.
Yeah, I mean, shortly I can say Vijay Raman is very fortunate. He was yogi. When I born in his family, I always remember he was doing yoga. So he knew hatha yoga, pranayama. He was very sport and climb. And even in Soviet time, he was vegetarian. And sometimes he would fast for 30, 40 days. Although he was working chef in the kitchen and work in the big restaurant projects, he would not eat meat and fast and would not drink alcohol. So he's like, you know, very fixed person. And I remember when they had a group of friends, they always speak about spiritual things. Of course, they were doing yoga as a group, and they had spoke about spiritual things. And he was very, you know, pious man. So I was fortunate to be born in a family of such pious men. So when I met Srila Govinda Maharaj in America, I told Vijay Raman, and next time Govinda Maharaj came to America, Vijay Raman fly and took initiation immediately. And immediately Vijay Raman, after taking initiation, he that time had you know, his family private restaurant. But Vijay Raman said, I don't want to work with my like family business. You know, I want to dedicate my life to do something great. But Vijay Raman said, don't worry, it will happen, but Krishna will make arrangement for you. So, you know, sometimes not very easy to, you know, give up your family business and, you know, rearrange things. But it was done in a way that Krishna arranged so that Vijay Raman could retire from his family business and dedicate himself to temple. This Petersburg temple, he fully dedicated his life to it. And, you know, together as a community of devotees, we start doing some business and try to fund this project. And so together with a group of Russian devotees, we built that temple. And that gave Vijay Raman full, you know, 25, 30 years service life. So very active service life. Become a temple president, first build temple, then become a temple president. You know, and he will always live very simple life. Never, Vijay Raman never accept any luxury. So if he has a small room, one bed, like if you see the way he live, you think he's like very simple devotee. You know, never buy any opulent clothes, never in goal to save money, you know, like always living very simple and doing a lot of service to devotees. And, you know, tolerating, he's a very tolerant man, tolerate me, tolerate devotees, like a lot of tolerance. And doing this like day after day without stop. And sometimes he would come to India, or sometimes he would come to America, or sometimes he would come to Moscow. But mainly he would be focused on his service. So Govinda Maharaj really loved that because he always said, oh, I'm coming to stay with Vijay Raman Prabhu. Because Govinda Maharaj would feel this and appreciate this. And Vijay Raman never looking for any respect to himself. He doesn't want to be like big sadhu, you know, like he doesn't, like we have, I don't want to quote name, but certain of our devotees, their play position are like they're big sadhus, they're big, you know, devotees. Vijay Raman never played that. Never, you know, made that persona. In fact, his position is always, I'm servant. How can I serve you? And that was his mood, and that's still his mood. So right now he's in Agoy. There are 40 devotees came to see him, and we're going to speak today something in Russian about his glories. And you know, he's he's a very qualified person, way more qualified than me or any others. But he doesn't speak so much. He does things. So, like, you know, in our mission, we have different people. Some people can speak, and some people can do a lot of things. Like Nadia, that translates, she can build, she can organize, she's like hardcore woman, can build a house. So we also have like Surya like that. We have some devotees like that, like Vijay Raman. So we have devotees who's not really externally so much appear to be as like speaker or lecturer, but we have like devotees who can organize a festival, organize a temple, and some of them female women. So, you know, we're not denying women leadership in our mission. In fact, we have many great women, such as Subhada, Haridasi, Narayani, Bhakti Lalita, you know, many women who have done incredible service. And like, you know, I know many women are, you know, powerful women, like, you know, Niti Lila can do amazing costumes, Nadia can build the whole thing, you know, Narayani can organize a whole center. So we have many wonderful women in our mission who's our pillars of Chaitanya Saraswat Math. So people think, oh, Chaitanya Saraswat Math is pillar only on man. It's not true. There's external pillar and internal pillar. So the external pillar, yes, they're like Goswami Maharaj, Madhusudan Maharaj, etc. But internal pillars is pillars like great women, devotees like Vijay Raman. They're our internal pillar. They're the really people who hold our mission. And without them, it will be very difficult. Because, you know, it says, Guru is the father, mantra is the mother. So it means mother is somebody who's nourished you full time. So Guru may come one time in your life, or, you know, sometime to your life, give you initiation. But who will be your mother? Who will give you service every day? Who will, you know, work with you every day? That person is like mother. That person's raising you. So that is very important. So anyway, there's 7 minutes left. That's all I want to say about Vijay Raman Prabhu. I just want to say that I highly appreciate all of you joining this English-speaking class, and those who will stay in Russian-speaking class. I have to, before I plug in myself, I have to do little things, go to a new place and recharge my charger and put an internet. So therefore, with your permission, I'm finishing now. We had a short 1 hour discussion, but you know, I was very happy to see. I was happy to see Maria. I know she wants me to call her, but you know, yesterday I had to drive here and there and meet some people. So I'm not. Sometimes I'm alone and I can talk, and sometimes I'm busy. Normally, morning time. Morning time, I have morning program, lecture, and then I have 100 calls. And then sometimes daytime, I have free time, but not so much. Actually, my free time is not so much, but I'll try to connect. I remember that. And very happy to see all our friends like Pavel, Nadia, Narayani, Rasananda, and Yuvati is here. I don't know if she's listening to me or not, or she's just switching this thing. So Also, we have some birthday today of some Vijay Prabhu from Vrindavan devotees. They're also right now in Haridwar, just done Harinam. So, we continue our spiritual work. All this very difficult time, Nama Sankirtana Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashana. We see like so many crazy stuff going on, military crime in Ukraine, but the Ukrainian devotees, they're preaching. Nobody can stop them. Or we can see that some of the devotees have to leave their country, like Narayana. She lives in Portugal, somewhere else now. But she's always preaching and organizing things. So nothing stopped her from doing her service. And, other devotees, in whatever situation they are, they always have to cultivate desire to do some devotional service. This is very important. Cultivate desire to do some devotional service. And that enthusiasm comes through association. And we have to always increase two things, our belief and quality of our service. Our belief must be increased through association, and quality of our service, chanting, hearing, and also doing something practical. We have to do something practical, So like Professor Sanyal in Gaudiya Math, he was PhD in philosophy, but his idea was he would come and sweep and Gaudiya Math. And they would tell him, hey, why you are sweeping the courtyard? And he's telling me, I'm sweeping courtyard of my guru. I said, well, you PhD in philosophy, you can do a lot. I said, yes, I can do my preaching work, but that is not only thing I can do. I can also do something very practical. I like to sweep, temple. That is my endeavor, because PhD is all my life. I'm always talking about philosophy, and I always do that work, but it does not stop me from sweeping. And then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was very happy. He thought, okay, let him do that. Let him express his own desire of service. When we need his high skills, we're going to call him. But his service skills, any kind of service, if you can develop your skills, is great. So as long as you're not lazy. And remember what I told, Maya will really give you a lot of enjoyment just to be outside of Krishna. So try to remember that. Try to fight that Maya. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Madhadeva Pranam, I'm signing out because I have to switch to another program. It's 2 minutes, so I don't want to be late. Love everyone. Happy to see everyone here with enthusiasm. And let's go to another Zoom.